Sweet. Hello, everybody. Today, we are going to be talking about the Dogon people. They are a tribe in West Africa. You see on the map right there. It's over by Timbuktu, and that's where they live in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. But the reason why they are so darn interesting is because literally thousands of years before Galileo made his little cute telescope thing, these people already had scientifically accurate designs and knowledge of a star, Sirius A, that I think is like 8.65 light years away from Earth. Like it cannot be seen with the naked eye, and these people just magically know about it. So obviously there's some questions here. How did they get this information? What are their beliefs? And who are these people? So here is a picture of a Dogon village. As you see, it's right up against the mountain there. And cool little tidbit is these caves that all their drawings are in is guarded by a single holy man. He is not allowed to be touched, or people can't even really come close to him. And his whole job, night and day, for his entire life, is to guard the mouth of the cave. And when he dies, another holy man replaces him. Not my kind of job. I do say so myself. So on the left here, or right, or whatever, I still can't figure that whole camera thing out, but we've got two pictures of Dogon people. They've got some pretty crazy costumes and some pretty crazy beliefs. So here are some notes about the origin story, like the Dogon's people, Bible and Eve kind of vibe. So there was this god Amma, who, don't know where he came from, just kind of there. Don't ask questions. Amma began working in clay and just molding clay, and he's like, got this cool little clay ball. And then he lit it on fire magically because apparently he's a god. And then he put the piece of this little ball of clay out into the ether, the universe, whatever. They don't really go too deep on these things. I mean, they're a tribe in Africa. So that first pot was the sun. And then he made a second pot. But instead of heating it up all at the same time like he did the sun, he did it in 4 distinct sections. And when he put it out, that second pot became the moon. And those 4 sections are referring to the 4 separate cycles of the moon, which I thought was pretty cool. Then he took his third piece of clay and he just tossed it like Hail Mary into the universe, and it broke into countless pieces and thus came into existence the stars. Then, this is interesting, he took a piece of flat clay and he just kind of tossed it, and that piece of flat clay is what the Dogon people say became the earth. So god Amma, he's like, hey, I'm gonna go try and visit this earth, see what I made. Not wanting to visit the other things he's made. Yet again, don't ask, weird origin story. So he gets to earth. He's like, this place is pretty cool. And then he realizes, oh dang, Mother Earth is a chick. And apparently this god is male and very, very horny. So he tried to rape her. But not kidding here, a termite mound, a very, very large termite mound was protecting her. So, with one mighty stroke, hiya! The god Amma struck down the termite mound and then proceeded to rape Mother Earth. Because he was such a dick, the first child, like he was hoping for twins, didn't work out, and the first child that was birthed by Mother Earth was a pale fox. And then the pale fox was really creepy and bounced out, ran away, and lived all alone in the middle of nowhere. And this really weird figure in the story is supposed to represent God's difficulty and God's cruelty. I don't get it either. So they don't say whether or not this Amma god was continually raping Mother Earth, or if she then kind of thought he was a nice guy. I don't know. They didn't go into the specifics. It's an origin story. So second time he gets her prego, not just one set of twins, but 2 sets of twins. And the story goes that both sets of twins had a male and a female aspect. So 2 boys, 2 girls, like whatever. Then the male Yorgun, he broke out a little bit too early, premature birth, I guess. And with him, presumably came his sister because Yorgon represents all of like the man and women. So like the Bible calls this Adam and Eve. And because Yorgon broke out of the womb early, he ended up being imperfect along with, I guess, his twin sister, which is pretty messed up now that I think about it, but whatever. And they made all of mankind, and they're just living, chilling on Earth, which is also their mom, which is also kind of weird, but let's just roll with it. So then the second set of twins, they were, I guess, obedient, and they came out on the delivery date, what may have you. And this next fact or next part of the story directly contradicts a previous part of the story, because it was said that the both sets of twins had both male and female aspects, but then they go on to describe the second set of twins as the pneumo, and they said that they were neither male nor female. Why the contradiction, bruh? Either way, they were water spirits, and think of them as like really weird alien, like green alien mermaids, but with red eyes and a long tongue, and their arms are like Gumby, so they can just kind of go wherever because they don't have joints. I think they might have been reptilians, but who knows? And because they were obedient, they were perfect beings, and they just flew off into heaven. I'm pretty sure that's a metaphor for the sky, because after that they went to a star called Sirius. They knew this star as Singi Tolo. And then they're like, we don't want to be on the star. So they settled on the moon, which they call Sirius B, which I find interesting because the Bible says that the moon is a lesser light. So kind of a little bit of similarity there. But they call the moon, or what we call Sirius B, Potolo, which means deep beginning. So the moon that they landed on was pure white and heavier than all the lead in the world. What's interesting about this fact is after scientists like did their little science thing, they figured out that this moon actually is legit, like one of the if not the heaviest stars in the world. They haven't been able to, or in the universe, they haven't been able to fully measure it accurately to their own specifications, but whatever. So after some time, the Pneumo returned to Earth in a spaceship, and they crashed, and there was much fire and lightning. The cave drawings that the Dogon people protect show little standard saucer with 3 little legs, like standard UFO stuff. So that's kind of weird. And after the Pneumo landed in their little spaceship, they made a lake. Some people say that they just kind of hit into existence, and other people say that their spaceship was full of water and they just kind of emptied it, and oh hey, now we got a lake. But either way, they just jumped on right into the lake, and then they began to tell man these sacred revelations. So this is pretty funny because it just makes no sense whatsoever. So the first sacred revelation that they had was nature. And the way that you follow this sacred revelation is you have to listen to the rustling grass that covers the whole earth. So apparently at that time, grass covered the whole earth, which brings us other questions that we won't dive into. Second sacred revelation was order, and it was symbolized by weavings, like clothes, how it's weaved like both horizontally and vertically, and this weaving symbolized that man was not supposed to live alone like that creepy fox we mentioned earlier. And that's it, like just don't live alone. So the third sacred revelation is actually 2 things, so I don't know why they didn't just say 4 sacred revelations, but whatever. It's the granary and the drum. The drum is their form of communication, which kind of goes pretty well with African cultures, because they really like to bang on their drums. And then the granary binds man to the earth. And the Pneumo told the people that if they followed these sacred revelations, order would be preserved, and mankind would flourish. They would be all super happy pandas. And to, I guess, commemorate this, every 60 years, they do this celebration called the Sigi celebration. So that's what they call Sirius. So one thing I find interesting is they, and kind of weird contradictory, they celebrate this, have the celebration every 60 years, but their own like writings say that it takes right around 50 years for Sirius B to orbit Sirius A. And when scientists looked into this, it was actually 50.1 years. So yeah, pretty darn close to 50 years. They also said that the Numo taught them about the rings of Saturn, the moons of Jupiter, and other really cool aspects about our solar system that they had no way of knowing, especially not in 3200 BC. Yeah, 3200 BC. Galileo didn't invent the telescope until like mid 1600s. No, mid 16th century, so like 1500s. But the as the story goes, these Numa, these spirit, like water spirit things, in Dogon tradition, they were physical beings, and some people speculate they were dolphins. I think they were reptilians, but who knows? The Hindu, however, have an interesting aspect on this because they've got similar stories. Go figure. Is that these spirits were ethereal beings, kind of like demons or angels or what may have you, um, and you couldn't actually like physically interact with them. And the only way you could interact with them was by taking some ayahuasca or their variation thereof, some sort of hallucinogenic, so that you're just out of your mind, like LSD kind of trip, and then these things communicate with you. So here are their pictures. Move the people down. I'll just move the charts up. That'll be easier. So here is the picture of the top left or top right, whatever. I always figured out. So my left is your right. So top right, I guess. You see the actual diagrams of what the Sirius A, Sirius B look like, and as they're going through space, and B is orbiting A. And this is how they depicted it, and it was entirely accurate once scientists were able to verify things. In fact, in 1862, astronomers confirmed the existence of Sirius A, and then in 1970, they were actually able to take pictures of it through a telescope. So the Dogon people had this knowledge for close to 5,000 years before 1970, when we were finally able to take a picture of it. That's interesting. And then to the right, or right the top one that's not the diagram, is these little fish people that they're little pictures of these fish, Numo people, and then these bottom under the fish people is not actually from the Dogon people, but it's from the Egyptians. A couple thousand years, probably closer to 2000 BC, give or take, when there was a priesthood that came over from the Middle East, and they were called Dogon priests, the priests of Dogon, which is interesting because like Dogon people, Dogon priests, and the Dogon priests had little fish hats called mithro, and that thing is ended up becoming the Pope hat, like that really goofy hat that the Pope wears. It came from the Dogon priests thousands of years ago. And then this other picture with color is just more their cool cave art. If you are curious to find Sirius for yourself, just it's not too hard to do as long as you're not in a big city of death like I am, which is unfortunate. So maybe good excuse to go take a little camping trip before the winter hits in. Find the Belt of Orion, and then just kind of go bottom left a little bit, and the brightest star is Sirius A. And that is all I've got for you right now. I wanted to make this a little bit shorter, just so I didn't have to do more and more research and hear 50,000 people say the exact same thing again and again and again and again. This is going to be called Fishtail Fridays, where I'll be breaking down different belief systems and like the Dogon people. I've got whole list of cool topics. So every Friday, I'll be making a new video and posting it to all my social media, and that will be in the links for that will be in the description. Please like, comment, share all that social media silliness, and I will see you next Friday. Bye!